Welcome to the Blackout Show, presented by the Guillen Grid, a show about the Chicago White Sox baseball, the good, the bad, the ugly. We'll debate what's working and what's not on the south side of Chicago. It's old school versus new school baseball. And most importantly, we're keeping all the receipts.
You cannot stop Martin Maldonado. You can only hope to contain him. That's the breaking news to start this evening's edition of the Blackout Show. An immaculate episode, as Jay said. Great tweet. That was a really good tweet. That was like super solid. Alongside Jay, Gonzo, and Ozzy Jr., I'm Slavko Bekovic, a.k.a. Sloppy Thurston, your MC for tonight's festivities. I'm pretty hyped after a doubleheader sweep. The White Sox scoring 4 total runs. Really impressive stuff. 41 games below 500. Other than that, things are good. Martin Maldonado's heating up, and that's really all I can ask for because he's probably up to what, like 140 on the season now?
No, probably like
OPS, not even batting average, just OPS.
So if he hits 12 home runs and hits like 195, is it that bad of a season in like today's terms of like they don't care about average?
Yes, because if he's still taking time from Corey Lee, most definitely.
Okay, absolutely. And again, I lost today with the White Sox. I bet against them. My account is just going down because I've had zero luck.
Why are you betting against the White Sox?
I'm not betting against them. There's the thing. When I bet against them, I've lost, which is not a lot of times because they don't win that often. And when I bet for them, when they've taken a lead, they've blown it for me. It's just not a good mix.
Damn.
So the big news, so to speak, we did not have an episode last week, so we hope everybody had a safe 4th of July festivity. Happy belated birthday to our guy, Ozzy Jr.
First show at 40.
Nice little party. Su casa es mi casa, Ozzy.
Yeah. I still can't believe I messed that up as the Spanish speaker.
The native Spanish speaker.
He's speaking that Gonzo Spanish.
So we didn't have a show last week, so the biggest news coming out for tonight, Garrett Crochet making his first, hopefully of many, Major League Baseball All-Star games, the White Sox lone representative, again, because they suck ass. What are you guys' thoughts on Crochet, what he's done so far this season? Him getting the nod, I don't think anybody's really surprised. Luis Robert did not get into the All-Star game. I think, health has a lot to do with it, but he's also not really been putting up huge numbers when he was healthy. So Crochet to the All-Star game keeps raising that trade value. We've heard the reports that the White Sox, I guess, opened negotiations with him on a contract extension. It didn't seem like they got very far. And now it seems, according to Bob Nightingale, I think this was a Nightingale report, that they are looking to potentially trade him over the next few weeks before the deadline on July 30th. Junior, let's start with the birthday boy. I'm just going to ask you guys this. Give me your thoughts on what he's done, how much he's deserved and earned this all-star bid, number one. Number two, we've had some, a few weeks to simmer on this, and I feel like we've changed opinions a little bit certain times, certain people. Should the White Sox hold on to Crochet or trade him?
So, number one, I think it's the most impressive All-Star game appearance in a very, very long time, I think. Jose Contreras, I can't compare it because Jose was a veteran guy. Crochet's very impressive. Never been a starter, okay? I don't even know if this guy started in Little League. Probably because he was very good. College, a reliever, comes to the big leagues as a reliever, an impactful player right away as a reliever. Very good. And then decides in a team where things usually don't go right to make himself a starter they buy into it. I thought that it was going to be a disaster because of the inning consumption. He's going to break down, and he is the best pitcher in Major League Baseball today, statistically speaking. We're going to talk draft. He's the best player in that draft, statistically speaking, today. He's impressive. He's earned his All-Star game bid. Good for him, because in a team that's so bad, he could even be doing better, with run support and whatnot. So I was a guy that was 100% sold on trading Crochet. I think right now, unless you're getting a Nationals type deal for like a Juan Soto, where you get like 4 amazing prospects and they're just blowing you away, you cannot trade him for just 1 or 2 pieces of guys that could be good, in my opinion. It's too risky. The Sox have gotten so lucky. They went Cease, they trade him, and within 1 year, this kind of project falls in your lap where you could be trading a guy that could potentially become Chris Sale, Randy Johnson. I think the risk is worth keeping him, and then if he walks away and you have to trade him next year for less of a value, I'll take that if you can't sign him, because I think that his ceiling of what he's been able to prove in the last 6 months, I'd be just scared of trading somebody somebody we drafted, somebody that's developed so well, someone that that can relieve, done a great job starting. Today, I would not move him unless the package was like just ridiculous.
How big the package got to be?
Like the biggest package you've ever seen in your life, probably.
Big juicy package.
Juicy package. A lot of
sounds like a sloppy Thurston.
Oh my God!
Wow, good job.
So, I guess to answer the first question, your man pulled the receipts this past week of my bold prediction this previous offseason.
Don't hurt your wrist jerking yourself off so hard.
Yeah.
Let me see your hands, Gonzo, right now.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, that was a bold prediction. So I was going out there, and I really trusted the kid when they drafted him.
It was a great call.
Every now and then, I'll pull one.
Once a year, you're good for once.
No, but it was. You know what? It was bold though, because he's not even popular. He wasn't even that popular to this year. Like Pantera was always like the guy that you think he would go. That's why it was a bold prediction, because everyone thought Pantera was like he's the guy that's going to go because this team's horrible. He's good.
Yeah, and I just want to put the emphasis on this guy was the relief pitcher straight to All-Star game, and really he's one of the best arms in the American League right now. I mean, could you be having the argument that Cora should start him? I mean,
100%. You absolutely.
I think it's valid. But I just love how Garrett's quote was, "I'm a fucking starter," and he proved it straight out. And that's what you love to see. And now, I mean, this is a good question for what is Getz and Jerry going to do, but it's great for us because I feel like it's win-win. You're either going to extend them, which is what I personally would want to do, or you're not going to pay the money and you're going to get value for them. And that's really what it's going to come down to. And it should be quite the package because it's 2.5 years of control. He's got very marginal innings on his belt, and
which is both good and bad.
Right. And at this very moment, he's pitched the most innings in his career, but he's going strong at it at this very moment. So, like, again, I know Frank Thomas said it best. His last pitch he threw was 99 miles per hour. I mean, that arm is still vibing, and I'm excited to see what he can do, not only to finish the second half, but for next year, if that's for us or elsewhere. But again, I really think, I want them to extend him, but I don't think they will because they didn't even give Cease an extension. So for me, I think they're going to trade him. And when I say they're going to trade him, we just saw all of the Los Angeles Dodgers rotation go on the IR, and Baltimore sent down, and Baltimore is another. Baltimore started the rumors for Crochet, and they're very well in the mix, and it should be very exciting. Whatever, I have my own opinions on that Dylan Cease trade, but I feel Chris Getz should get a whole lot more than what he got in that Cease trade. And
Oh, hell yeah.
I don't want to be disappointed in the return. To
I mean,
back.
you're going to be regardless because you just go off of MLBTradeProspects.com or whatever the fuck that website is.
Well, I'm talking about, though, here's the thing, though. Like, if he gets traded, like, let's say Baltimore, for example, you're bringing guys that have either good contracts, like signing for like a couple years, or a kid. I'm not saying they're going to bring the catcher, but you're bringing a guy that's a prospect that, and I'm not even talking about Holiday because he came up and did nothing. I'm talking about somebody that's been in the big leagues and done some production, and it's a package of them. Like, you're not getting like and we're going to get 4 guys in the top 100. Like, they need to get MLB ready because arbitration eligible 25, 26 at 26 and 27 years old. His last arbitration, guys, was only $800,000. So he's either going to break the record on the highest arbitration increase in Major League Baseball history, or you're going to still get him for a pretty good deal, meaning value to what a pitcher's worth today. So that's 2 years of contract, and you can always just move him next year. So I'm not usually big on the trades on you're going to have to give me Gonzo's list of like 100 list prospects. Trust me, with this trade, you need to be getting some guys you say, oh my God, like bigger than Moncada and Michael Kopech type of names when the sale trade. That's where it's got to be at.
I tweeted that with the whole, I forget who put the tweet out there. I think it was Hahn with the Baltimore rumor. And I quote tweeted and said the package from Baltimore better start with Kauser, Mayo, or Hiersted and go from there. Otherwise, it's no deal.
And the White Sox should hold out for that type of package. Like, you don't have to settle, because if you have to, you can trade him in the offseason. If you're not going to sign him, you can trade him next year at the deadline. You just hope and pray that he's still healthy. But either way, like, unless he's hurt, that value is not going to diminish. However, you can make the case that right now is his peak value. The price, the control, the production. The biggest thing that I've noticed, and then Jay, you can kind of follow up on this aspect too, is I can't remember who reported it, how teams are looking at how are you even going to use Garrett Crochet if you do trade for him? Because the White Sox, Pedro Grifol came out and said, yes, we have a plan of what this is going to look like and how we're going to kind of monitor the innings and his workload in the second half. There's been reports that teams might trade him and use him out of the bullpen for whatever they can in July and August, stretch him back out for September and potentially October. I don't know that makes a ton of sense, but that's at least what's kind of being floated out there. Jay, your thoughts on Crochet and whether you think, whether you think they should trade him or whether you think that they will trade him? Two different questions.
Yeah, so I just want to start off by saying this. I'm so fucking proud of Garrett Crochet because through 105 innings, 23 walks, 37 runs, on 36 of them were earned. We're talking about a young guy being groomed into an ace, and he's responding. He's handling his own stuff. Like, he's in uncharted waters. He's been on uncharted waters the whole season. 0.9 whip. Leading the league in strikeouts. Like, what more do you want? Like, I'm proud of him because he could have folded. The injuries, playing on a dog shit team with no direction. No. He blew through a brick wall. Now, I will say this, Slav. This All-Star game could be an audition for that reliever role.
Interesting.
Because if he doesn't start the game, there's going to be GMs in that stadium looking to see what he does against Major League's best hitters. 6, 7, 8 inning down the road. This could be a huge step, this All-Star game, because he's going to be facing the best hitters in the world with all the eyes on him. Wow, he's one of the biggest prizes of the trade deadline. Let's just be honest here. I don't want him to leave. I like watching Garrett Crochet every 5th to 6th day. I feel very confident when Garrett Crochet is towing the slab. Period. Like, I don't worry. I don't care who he's playing against. As long as he's, getting me through. Like, come on, 19 starts, 11 quality starts. That's it right there. If you're worried about his workload and management, cool. It's uncharted, but the production is there. He's done it. Like, I don't want them to trade him, but at the end of the day, like you guys said, there's a big haul out there for Garrett Crochet. The White Sox just have to be patient. So yeah, just said all that to say this. I'm proud of the kid. Can't wait to see him throw against Major League's best. Hopefully he spends the next 50 years in a White Sox uniform.
So I would move him. So there's some interesting teams.
Baltimore.
The Giants. No, I'm saying like the Baltimore. This is why I'm doing Baltimore. There's two types of trades I would make here. If I'm a GM that is not necessarily in the race today, but I have a good enough team where the next year I'm making a move like it was my free agent signing in the offseason. Okay? Kind of like setting myself up for the future. And I wouldn't just ask for Crochet. I'd ask for Crochet and Fetty Wap. Both of them.
Damn.
If I was the Orioles, okay, miss the team that has the most prospects, they have the greatest farm system ever created in Major League Baseball. You're 3 games ahead in first place from the New York Yankees, 6.5 from the Boston Red Sox. The best record you've had in a long, long time. Okay? Even if you think that your team is still going to be good in other years, you don't know what those teams are going to do. And you might become the Braves, that division where the Braves are still good, but now they're in second place. You have to strike now and not say, well, we're going to be here in 2 years. You make the moves this season to go get that ring. The Orioles and the Philadelphia Phillies have to go all in on these guys. Either each team takes one guy or the Orioles take both guys and send the craziest deal of all time, because then your team just gets that much better. If you don't win it this year, let's say that you lose in the World Series versus the Dodgers, if you're the Orioles. Next year, you have the guys on your team to go and compete. Because I still see the Orioles team, and they're good. But when I look at their pitching staff, I'm not like, oh, this is not sustainable.
Look at Dean Kramer. Dean Kramer, perfect example last start. Like, he got run support and everything. Still wasn't enough.
I just believe, like, the Diamondbacks, for example, they were in the World Series last year. I just think that when it's your year and you have that magic, you better go all in. If you're that many games up in first place, if you're feeling it, if you have that chance, you take both guys in whatever role you want to take them, and you give up prospects that potentially might be amazing in 2 or 3 years and not hold on and say, well, I'm worried about what's going to happen in 2 or 3 years. 2 and 3 years from now, the Yankees might decide to go spend more money than they usually do, and other teams might go back in the mix and do that. So I think those are the teams. And then there's a couple quiet teams, man. If I'm the Mariners are a team that when I look at them, they're like, they've always missed that power. I thought the Giants, they need bats. But again, double down. Like, again, you can move these guys to come in, and I think it's more impactful to trade in the middle of a season for a team morale-wise than it is like they traded Cease, because you still have to start the season. If you're the Orioles or anybody in first place or someone in the hunt, and you move for one of the 2 best pitchers in the game today, you're in. Your owner's in. You don't have to tell anybody's in. Tickets are going to go up. That's the reason why I keep tagging John Kruk on the Phillies move, because I think this is the Phillies' year. Like, this is a year there's going to be a team that's going to win that has not won in a couple of years, and there's going to be a team that's going to be out that I think is going to be out for a while. And I think they're the team from the National League, because Ronald Acuna's out. Braves are playing horrible, usually to Braves baseball. So I think the Baltimore Orioles, my eyes on the Orioles and the Phillies to be the team to make, because Crochet is the best pitcher in the market. He's a blockbuster trade of the trade market this season. Those are the 2 main guys, including them.
He's top 5 in like strikeouts per 9, WHIP, his expected ERA, expected on base average, like all the numbers are there. The swing rate, like he's one of, I think, 5 pitchers in Major League Baseball that are in above 90% in whiff rate and above 80% or percentile, I guess, in walk rate. And to me, that's the biggest thing that stands out, is him and his ability to pound the zone.
Yeah,
even the other day against the Marlins, like, didn't have the best stuff, but kind of gutted his way through 4. He had that one crazy inning that for some fucking reason Grifol let him out there for 50 pitches, which blew my mind. But like, he's become, in like the course of one season, like, he's crafty too. When my shit's not great, like, he can still kind of work his way through a start. But more often than not, his shit has been great. So I'm impressed with what I see. For me, I was all about trading him after we had Elijah on. Just kind of thinking about, okay, what can we get in return? But now the more I think about it, if you can build around Crochet, even if you don't extend him, you get 2 extra seasons out of him. Worst case scenario, you have to do something like Milwaukee and he's Corbin Burns, and you can get some sort of return in that when there's only 1 year of control left. That's worst case scenario. But if you're able to lock him up, build around him, we've seen what Drew Thorpe has been able to do. We know the prospects, Noah Schultz, and who's potentially on the doorstep. Jonathan Canning is pitching really well right now. I think you can get a couple really nice pieces for Eric Fetty. I'm more inclined to trade Fetty, Kopech, some bullpen arms, and add to the system that way and hold on to Crochet, where a month ago it was the total opposite, where I'm like, get Crochet out of here. We got pitchers on deck. And having the number 5 pick, I mean, they might have some clarity, if for some reason Hagen Smith is there or Chase Burns and they end up going with one of those arms, they feel really confident they could be in the big leagues in a year or two, like a Skeens. That's a different story. Like maybe now you're kind of planning ahead with Thorpe and Cannon and Schultz and whoever you pick at number 5, just kind of hypothetical there. We'll get more on the draft in a little bit, but I'm more inclined now to keep Crochet, knowing what you can get in a trade for Luis Robert, knowing what you could potentially get for Eric Fetty. Michael Kopech pitching immaculate inning today, throwing a couple nice outings in a row. Hopefully he can add to his value. That's kind of where I stand on it. I'm just really impressed with what he's done on the field. I'm more inclined to keep him. But if there's one team I want to engage in trade talks with and pray that they give up one of those bats, it's got to be Baltimore.
Agree. And here's the part where I think, and we talk about Noah Schultz, and I give Noah a lot of grief, the great prospect. If Noah Schultz becomes Eric Crochet, meaning in the time frame where Eric Crochet is at, like development wise, they've won that draft with Noah being the number 1, meaning he's going to be here the next couple of years. Because Crochet, when he has not been on the team, meaning he's been injured, it's the only time that he hasn't been productive on the team. Anytime he's been on the team in any role that he's been in, it's been a positive role. If he doesn't get hurt, Rick Renteria might still be the manager, and the White Sox might be in a World Series that year because it was the right move. Like he was that electric and that impressive of like, oh my God, who is this guy? So I agree with you guys on. I was all about trading him until I really looked at the numbers, and he's doing this. And we can switch the topics, but he's doing this with 2 factors. And I hate talking about this guy. And he's a reason that Ethan Katz, I think, still has a job and might keep his job is because of Eric like Crochet and like what he's been able to do with him and the two guys. But pitching for Pedro Grifol, who is not the greatest with the pitchers and pitcher management. Okay. That's number 1. And number 2, you're playing one of the worst defenses in Major League Baseball.
Every day.
So again, motivational wise, I know he might be playing for his money and his own motivation. You're playing in a crappy team. Like you really got to be pumping it up mentally wise, but saying like just statistic wise, the defense, manager, you put Corey and Maldonado, there's things that are going to be around him that are going to improve. So he's done a lot with very little from a team that has very little to give as a whole. And he's been able to be the best pitcher in baseball. That's impressive. This is the reason I wanted Cease to leave the White Sox, because I didn't think it was possible that the best pitcher in baseball could be part of this team. And he's proven me wrong.
Can we throw out a hypothetical here? Let's say you don't. Now, granted, I know Gonzo's not still to this day thrilled with the return in the Dylan Cease trade. Okay, let's say we take, at least just for the time being, Thorpe and Iriarte out of it. You hold on to Cease. Crochet turns into what he has, and then you still have Fetty this year. Theoretically, Noah Schultz on deck soon enough. Like, even just, let's say Fetty excluded, Cease, Crochet, Schultz. That's 3 potentially like ace.
That's all you need.
Arms.
That's what you need. You need
that you could have built around.
Slav, you led me to. I was gonna bring up a point. Like, we know how the White Sox get a little bit conservative and gun shy at times. What if the big dream for the White Sox, Garrett Crochet, Noah Schultz, Hagen Smith, within a 3-year span? What if? Do you think that?
Well, that's their plan. That has.
Sorry, build around
that has to be their plan. That you could do it. You could do it 3 lefties. You can go Chuck
I
Philly.
mean, if they're that
Martin
good,
Mason.
then yes.
If they're that good, yes. And you can throw a weird righty. People look at the last three White Sox. Yeah, like
Throw.
Thrope.
Didn't the Phillies do that?
Hamill? No, it was just Hamill.
Cliff Lee, Hamill.
Lee.
What is there a third one?
So I'm gonna be.
Holiday was the third one.
Oh, that's right.
And I know Gonzo's probably talking. According to him, it's Rick Hahn's burner account. But one of the reasons that we were so pumped for Ozzie getting this team at 81 and 81 is because of the pitching capabilities that they had. Meaning there was a lot of guys on that staff that we thought were either could be better under Ozzie, just from a motivational standpoint, obviously like C's, and then from the arms that they had available to them. Like when you put bats and when we looked at bats and pitching was like the one that we were like, Ozzie loves Michael Kopech, by the way. We were like, there's guys on this staff that under the right tutelage, we really believe in them. And again, it could have been horrible. It could have been just as bad. But just from a belief standpoint, he really believed in that staff of like, wow, we have some good pitching, kind of resembling of the 2004 team. Remember, the 2004 team didn't take away pitching. Ozzie's first 2 months was like, I love Mark Burley. I love John Garland. I need to get an anchor in Freddie Garcia. And then Contreras and Oduke will be my veteran guys. And then people forget this. He knew that he had Brandon McCarthy. Just in case something happened, they knew that they had a top prospect. Bobby Jenks, they didn't know if he could have been a starter or a closer. But he was really excited about his pitching staff was like his gem. So he was excited about it. A lot of people that were interviewing for the job, when you talk to them, it was all about the pitching. So, Jay, to your point, not only did they miss out on that, having that pitching now with C's, Crochet, and that, they're so lucky that they might have another opportunity again.
They could run it back.
That's what I'm saying, though. So I think at some point in the part where it's really hard, and I don't know what Chris is thinking, but at some point you need to commit to an arm. Okay? At some point you need to commit to an anchor on the defensive side. You need to sign a pitcher or two that are your main guys. It's really hard going out there. Like in 2 years from now, we want to sign Fetty. I'm sure that we were able to get to the table and talk to him and say, hey, bring him back, a veteran pitcher at that point. But to have a young arm that you know it's your ace, even if you're going to be a 500 team, you need that arm. You need that arm. So you need to sign. So again, with the Crochet thing, it's like, okay, you didn't sign. I get the sale thing because they were in the window and you didn't think that, but you didn't sign Cease. You didn't sign Rendon. You didn't sign Giolito. Okay, that kind of worked out for you. But you didn't sign Cease. Okay, now you're getting on Crochet. Like now you're like tempting fate too much of like, now Noah has to hit. You know, all those guys really have to hit. I mean, how many times are you going to get lucky with a top guy coming in and becoming a frontline starter, all-star game goer every other 3 drafts? That's hard to do.
And that's why I brought it up, because the White Sox aren't going to be competing in 2 years. It will be lucky if they're
you don't know, by the way. I don't know if you do it the right way, though. And this is where
26 is their 20.
26 is their year, man.
So with that time frame, wouldn't it be easier for the White Sox to develop pitching while just adding the bats, like getting mercenary bats while developing the pitching throughout that time frame? That way, when you hit 2026, you probably got a 3-headed chimera in your rotation.
You got holes though in the roster for position players, and your
you can always sign those guys though. You can always
see, we say that, but they've had a hole at second base and in right field for like a fucking
they're trying
decade.
to.
We need Brett Lawrie back.
Gonzo, the White Sox need to have. I know we need to jump this. They need to have a philosophy. Okay, I don't know why they don't have one. Cleveland, for example, they could. You're a good pitcher there. You're going to be there 3-4 years. You're gone. They've traded Cy Youngs. We know what's going to happen in Cleveland. Okay, we know other teams go and buy arms. The Yankees, they don't develop their own arms. They just go and buy the best arm that's available. The Sox need to be like, are we going to be teams that are going to develop arms, or are we going to be developing hitters? And the part, Gonzo, we talked about this before we get in the draft, where those pitchers kind of look sexy to me before I really went deep into it, was because the Sox, they have some success developing some arms. When you look at it, I know they haven't winning games, but they did Sale under Cooper, and then the Cease and Ronaldo Lopez's growth, happened within there. Like if you look at all these guys that have happened, there's been more success on the pitching. Giolito went from being the worst pitcher in baseball to being literally the worst pitcher in baseball. So in the pitching side, if you put just hitters and pitchers, the development of the pitching has been night and day to the hitters. Because even the guys that have struggled have actually been pretty good. And the guys that have come from other teams, Liam Hendricks, Lance Lynn, they haven't been completely horseshit. They haven't. They've been average at best or better, but you haven't had those like complete drop downs of like, where you brought in
Lynn was pretty horseshit his last.
But I'm saying the last season, but I'm saying he at least gave you 2 years. It wasn't like a Grandal where you're like, oh my God.
Or,
like guys
or James Shields where it was just. Both.
Yeah, I'm saying like just guys digressing. Like Martin Maldonado, like I knew he wasn't going to be a superstar. I didn't think that he was going to hit 160 at one point and like not look like he's.
He hasn't hit 200 in literally 4 years.
Correct. But I'm saying like on the offensive side, I feel like they've always signed guys that just regress. On the pitching side, if we had to compare, again, they're not both perfect, but if I had to compare where the White Sox are better at developing, to me, they develop better pitching historically.
Ken WO would agree with you. He tweeted about that earlier.
Outside of TA, who have they even come remotely close to developing offensively in the last, like, I don't know how long? Like,
you want this
I guess you can say Luis Robert to an extent when he's healthy, like, but he's also
20
like after Moncada, probably the best talent that they've had in a long time. And like Andrew Vaughn is like whatever. It's other than TA, who like was drafted and came through the whole system and truly developed by the White Sox. I can't really think of a ton. Like, I mean, Gavin Sheets, like that's a second round pick, a pretty established college hitter.
He should be better. Yeah, he should. So the part with Robert, just like with Moncada, where I see kind of like they're still good Major League Baseball players, but with their potential is like seeing Mike Trout not be his best. You know what I mean? Like these are guys that could have been just like ridiculous superstars because their abilities are just that much better. With somebody told me today, like TA was a failure in development. I said, no, he wasn't. The guy was his first rounder, 17th pick as a high schooler, first year college guy, came to the big leagues, won a batting title, was a starting shortstop on a team that won a playoff, like went to the playoffs. Like, I think that he was a success, even though from his downfall right now, I think from a development standpoint, they got pretty good, they got a pretty good result from him. If you compare him to like Zach Collins, Nick Madrigal, like guys that, are no longer with the organization, they panned out and basically did nothing. And Andrew Vaughn, if Andrew Vaughn would have been a 8th round and he was producing at this level, it would have been amazing. But he is a first rounder.
Third
overall, which is the last time I think the White Sox picked so high since this pick that they have. And then the one previous to that, I believe it was a Rondon pick, which in my opinion, other than the injuries, was also a very good pick because they developed him.
It's a great pick.
There's a great pick.
100% a hit.
Yeah. His WAR is there in the top. I made a list of guys that were better than the guys that they picked. Like when you have in your first round pick and you're like the 9th pick and there's only like 5 guys above you that got picked before you, got picked behind you that are better than you, that's not bad. That's like not bad at all. But like 18 with Madrigal, 19 with Andrew Vaughn, where you have 10 guys, 12 guys that got picked after you that are currently better than you in baseball. I put it on the player, but I also put it on development of whoever we going into this draft talk, whoever they pick, they need to develop that talent. Unless there's like a off the field issue with substance or with, attitude or just something crazy or something health wise, you still have to develop a guy. Cause even, it's the knock on Berger, but even in his class, his pick's not even that bad when you compare him to the people in his class as a first rounder with the years to get there. It took him some time. But yeah, the development of the team, they can get it right. And with Crochet, they've got it right so far. Even though people said that he was rushed, that he shouldn't have been pitching in those games, their development right now with him is a win-win. Best pitcher in his class, top pitcher in baseball, going to an all-star game. They need to, they can replicate that with Noah, with Uriarte, with all those guys. They're going to have at least a very good staff in years to come.
So it's interesting you mentioned Vaughn specifically, that obviously number 3 pick. when you look at who was picked right after him, like the top 2 players in this draft are by far Adley Rutschman, number 1, Bobby Witt, number 2.
They
They're the
didn't
2
mess
best
up.
players, and they were the
didn't
2
mess up.
top picks. So the White Sox have nothing to do. They didn't have a shot at either one of those guys.
Correct.
They probably won a few games that they really didn't need to in September and might have cost them having the 1st and 2nd pick. That's neither here nor there. Andrew Vaughn goes 3rd. After that, JJ Bleday, nothing. Riley Green might turn into a, like he's serviceable right now. Like I'm not
All-star.
I mean, I'm not like way more impressed with him to this point than Andrew Vaughn, but I think he's got a higher ceiling, especially considering he's an outfielder. CJ Abrams, like another all-star, or at least probably should have been an all-star.
All-star starter.
There you go. So when I'm looking at some of these draft classes, and Corbin Carroll was on, was available this year, like he was never really, I don't think, talked about as a number 3 pick. Something similar to where we're seeing now with this year's draft, the White Sox picking number 5. We've seen Connor Griffin's name thrown around. Again, a high school player with a high ceiling. Rayner, it's Bryce, right? Or Brian? Bryce. Rayner, his first name? I can't remember. But there's some like high ceiling high school guys. And when you look back on guys who end up kind of in that middle of the 1st round, Corbin Carroll went number 16 the same year Andrew Vaughn went number 3. Mm-hmm. And I have I'm pretty confident saying his career is going to be considerably better than Andrew Vaughn. Same thing with CJ Abrams. Gunnar Henderson, by the way, again, credit to the Orioles. They draft like fucking gangbusters because Gunnar Henderson fell to them in the number 1 pick in the 2nd round, and he has the highest WAR of anyone in the entire draft from 2019. Like they got Henderson and Rutschman in the same draft.
That's a good draft. And
that's bonkers. But you have to develop those guys, to your point, Junior. Like 5 years later, they've done a good job of making sure that those guys are qualified and reach their potential. I don't have the same feeling with the White Sox that if they do pick a Connor Griffin, that they're going to actually develop him to reach that potential. Like Colson Montgomery is a pretty interesting case. Like this is probably the most recent example we have of a 1st round pick, younger guy, high ceiling. We don't really know yet. He's one of the youngest guys in AAA. He's had some rough stretches, obviously, had some injury issues. Whether he has the physical ability, size-wise, to stay at short or move to the corner, we don't know yet. We'll see. But again, going back to the same conversation, outside of Tim Anderson, Junior, you make a great point. Like they're way better at developing pitchers, or at least helping pitchers get to the big leagues and then taking them from there, as opposed to what they've been able to do with hitting prospects. So looking at this upcoming draft, we kind of assembled the latest mocks, and we can kind of tell everybody what the names are currently that are being linked to the White Sox at number 5. The draft coming up, I think this weekend. So MLB Pipeline, most recent one, Jonathan Mayo had them picking J.J. Weatherholt, the middle infielder from West Virginia, one of the best college hitters. The previous draft that Jim Callis had Connor Griffin mocked to the White Sox. Keith Law had J.J. Weatherholt for the Athletic. USA Today had Hagen Smith, the left-handed pitcher from Arkansas. CBS Sports had Jack Caglione, the big power hitter from Florida. ESPN's Kylie McDaniel also had Caglione. What do you got? I can't see it.
JJ Hammy. This is for Gonzo. JJ Hammy.
JJ Hammy.
So JJ's issue. So I want to create a page with you guys for the next year's draft where we're going to talk about all the bad stuff. About a player.
Okay.
So I went to scout school. Yes, scout school graduate. I was telling Gonzo today, explain to him how it works in a draft room, because he kept saying like, it's Guts' pick. It's this guy's pick. So the gentleman that's the head of scouting right now, okay, really well respected around the game of baseball. Okay. He wasn't here for the Collins Birdie 2016 picks in 1st round back-to-back. Okay. He wasn't there for that. He has a philosophy, okay? And the guys that he's picked, meaning draft-wise, have been better than your usual take. And he was in the room with the Crochet move. But when I talk about looking at the negatives, when you're looking at all the guys in the top 5, especially guys like in the top 10, it's all like marketing. All the videos are like all like highlight reels of like their best plays, and they give you like the greatest things they've ever done. I try to look at them and try to see, okay, I already know that you guys are great. What am I looking at from a negative standpoint? Can I live with the issues that you have as a player? Okay. That's where you need to start looking at. So that's why JJ, because I told Gonzo, my worry with JJ, who's right now looking at could be number 1 for the Cleveland Guardians, is that he has hamstring issues, like horrible hamstring issues. You know, if the Cleveland Guardians are looking,
the White Sox don't have problems with those types of injuries.
No, that's what I mean. No,
Very healthy team.
Oh, that's what I mean. I was like, if somebody else takes them and they're going on their medical history, I'm like, okay, I trust. You know, if I'm their fan base, I can't get mad at medical history. If I'm the White Sox, I'm looking at no one with any medical history because I don't trust my team to be like, yeah, this guy's going to be medically fine. And like, we looked at his hamstring and it's, you know, it's going to hold up. I just don't trust them. So I'm looking at what am I good at developing? Where is my head scouting guy's eye for talent? So when you're scouting, you usually have a knack for a position, for a talent. You're better with catchers. You're better with pitchers. For me, example wise, I was way better at advanced scouting. Usually means that you have to have like 20 years of Major League Baseball experience as an amateur scouting, and then you get a really good job to do MLB scouting. I was better at looking at developed talent and saying, hey, let's trade this guy for this guy. This guy can fill a hole in. I was better at that than looking at a 16-year-old kid from Dominican Republic or looking at a kid that was in high school and saying, hey, yeah, this guy's going to be a future, third baseman for the next 8 years in our organization, because that's hard. So our head of scout right now for the Chicago White Sox is really good at looking at high school talent. And he, in his interview, if you haven't watched it, please go watch it. He mentioned a couple good things. Talked about high school players now are not like the old times where you're like high school and college is so different. And I completely agree. In college, you might have learned a little bit more keg stands, okay, and became bigger of an adult. But from a bad habit standpoint, you're still hitting with aluminum. Some guys get scared that guys come with bad habits from college that you're not going to be able to break down. So they like the high school. When you're looking at the age difference, you actually have more years to work with. And if you think you can develop them, there's no rule against a high school player coming up younger than a college player. It actually gives you more time. So when I was looking at the list, I try to compare what the strong points were from the scouting department to who they're going to pick. And I think the really successful teams are really good at that because your first pick sets up your second pick, your third pick. And that's where I think the Orioles were really good because they knew that they were going to get, not only were they going to win their first pick, but they knew that that second pick, that second high schooler, they were not sleeping on it. That's a successful draft. So the top 5 guys are getting all the agenda from those top 5 guys. I try to look back in history. When was the last time 5 top prospects coming out of like into the draft, all 5 made it? It's been like years since like it's been like a Bobby Witt Jr., like back to back. So out of those 5 that are saying this guy's going to go here, this guy's going to go there, a team's going to be left holding the bag. The Sox just don't want to be that team.
Yeah.
They just don't. So when you're looking at it, it's going to fall in, and teams are just looking at these guys differently. And I think the White Sox, regardless of who falls to them, they need to go with their guy. 100%. If they believe that they can see Condon, for example, Condon, okay, 6'6", huge linking arm, looks like Richie Sexton. They think they can make him Aaron Judge and swing like and do all that, and like they can develop him into being great, then you take it. But if you have a doubt in your mind, for example, he has third base as his position, outfield and third base. Scratch, first baseman, below 30, and like he's slower than Konerko. That's how slow he is. So like when you're looking at those guys, that's when you look at like what did this scout put in here to make this guy look better, and that's where the balance and the makeup is, and that's the hard part where you don't want to be left holding the bag in that room. And everyone has the GM's going to have an opinion, the head scouting director, the cross checker. The guy who's probably going to have the least of an opinion is the guy who's probably been watching him the most, which is the area scout. He's the last guy, he sends his reports, the cross checkers. So it's going to be an org. So from a White Sox standpoint, they should be way more confident than they were 10 years ago. But Nick Hostetler is still with the White Sox. I showed you today. He's still an advisor.
So I want to tee up Gonzo on this because I want to give him the floor on Condon specifically. All those mock drafts that I looked up, Caglione, Weatherholt, Griffin, were really the most frequent names linked to the White Sox. You occasionally see Hagen Smith. I think a lot of people don't expect the White Sox to pick an arm there. However, the one website that we did see that had Condon falling to the White Sox was the same as our special guest from a few episodes ago, Elijah Evans, and Just Baseball Media had Condon falling to number 5 to the White Sox. So Gonzo, I want your thoughts. If he's there at number 5, should the White Sox take him, and would you be happy if they did? And if he is there at number 5, is there anyone that you would take over him?
Somebody tell Gonzo he's muted.
Unfucking real. How do you do this every time?
No, you got to take him if he's there, because I don't even want to have a discussion because I don't think he's going to be there. But if he is there, I'm taking him. I mean,
have you watched Draft Day? Have you watched the movie? Anything can happen. So this is the thing. If you're in the room, and we're talking now, you're in the room, okay, and you only get so much time, Gonzo, and he starts dropping. Okay, he starts dropping, and you're like, why are they not taking him? That's what's hard about the scout room, because you have a plan, and then they don't start taking him because they know something about him, or they see a glitch, or he can't hit, having trouble with a curve. So if he's there, I want you to tell us, if he is there, would you take someone else over him, or you just jump at them and say, these 4 teams got it wrong, and you take him?
That's what I would say. If he's there, I'm taking him because the 4 teams passed him, and that would be my guy on my board right now. That huge offensive ceiling. I mean, it's top of the scale of raw power that he has.
And you look up Andrew. You guys want to laugh? Look up Andrew Vaughn's draft day scouting report and get scared.
Oh, I mean, I can probably tell you off the top of my head what it said.
It was like a Don Mattingly meets John Olerud meets home run. It was
high average, low power, line drive hitting first baseman. Yeah,
natural hitter. Nick Madrigal, greatest contact hitter we've seen.
Bat to ball skills out of this world.
Yeah, so that's the part that's scary, because that the first 2 teams had a choice on Andrew Vaughn, and so was Andrew Vaughn always the 3rd pick for them, or did they think Bobby Witt Jr. and the other guy were not going to go? And that's where you have to make the decision. So if he's there, you're going to take him then. That's your guy. If he's available at 5, you say, we take him. He's the guy you die with in the draft.
Where does he stick in the major leagues?
First base.
I think
I'm talking about Charlie
Condon. Yeah, I think
first base.
At worst, corner outfield.
A bad corner outfield. Look at his speed. Look at his speed.
But we've been rolling out fucking Gavin Sheets in right field for 3 years.
No, for sure. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying you're going to gain weight, okay? You're going to get bigger. So when you look at players' frames, he's just going to get bigger. So that's why I said, unless it becomes Aaron Judge, which there's not a lot of Aaron Judges walking around in Major League Baseball.
We already have one in A-ball. The White Sox already have the future Aaron Judge.
Okay, but look at that. Okay, but look at that guy's speed. You look at that guy, and you look how he's built. But trust me, you look at how he's built. You're like, okay, that kid is eating a Snickers and putting on muscle. You look at Condon, you're like, oh God, lanky, like
Richie Sexton's a good call.
The scouting report. The scouting report said he's not quick enough for third or center, but he does have solid to plus arm strength and can provide average defense in left or right field.
But he's like but look at his speed. What's his speed rating? What's his grade on the speed?
It says he's below average runner.
No. Look at the grade. They give you a 60.
Oh, the speed.
Was he like a 45?
40 at best.
40.
Yeah.
What, 40?
40 for run.
Okay,
yeah.
you know who you give a 40 to? Slow guys. You give 35 to catchers. You give 35 to catcher. Anything under a 35, your scouting director says, what, the guy in a wheelchair? Like,
damn.
So 40 is very, very low for a speed. that means this guy is slower than molasses. So you're telling me you're going to have a corner outfield. Again, people now, they don't care from an analytical standpoint. So when you ask me, Gonzo, about why do I care so much about makeup and like speed versus body, I'll give you this right now. The kid that, the high school kid, Connor Griffin, okay? He has two positions. This is what I like about Connor Griffin. His two positions are realistic. You know why? Because the little fucker's got like a 65 speed, okay?
But he's not standing at short. It's the same situation as Montgomery.
Correct, but he's an elite center fielder. So meaning like with 65 as your speed at that age means you could probably play center field in the big leagues.
Yeah, possible Gold Glover.
Gold Glover, and meaning the corners are going to be very easy for you if you decide to have power. You're playing third base in what they thought Moncada would be, because Moncada's a 65 speed. That's to give you guys a comparison of speed-wise. But comparing like position, so when the thing that scares me about Charlie is the outfield and third base, they're not even his real positions. They're not even, they're scared to put him as a first baseman.
No,
because they want to give him options. What?
They've put him at first.
I'm saying if you're drafting him in the draft room, that's your future first baseman. But for some reason,
it's no different than Vaughn. Like it's not apples to apples because one guy is more average, one guy's got crazy.
Well, the other guy's 4.2. The other guy's 4.2.
Yeah, the difference is like, are you going to take a first baseman like top 5 in the draft
again?
And by the way, first basemen are the easiest thing to find in the world.
You have to feel really good that he's going to hit
right-handed
at
first
least 30 homers a year.
Yeah, right-handed first basemen are like there's a guy playing in Mexico right now, black guy named Art Charles, that would probably come to the big leagues and be better than Andrew Vaughn. Like first baseman's like.
I don't necessarily agree with that right now because the prospects at first base coming up right now, they're not producing to that.
Art Charles will get 30 in the big leagues. Again, if you want to have a defensive, he does. By the way, but he's not the guy that scares you the most. The guy who scares you the most is the guy who's at number 1. He went to Oregon State, and his name is Travis Benzana. Nick Madrigal all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Look at him. I saw the uniform, and I said, if I'm in the draft room, this guy, I'm like, I hope they take him because I hope
way more power than Madrigal. Way more power.
Well, God, Madrigal's like 4.2. Like anyone that was like 6'1" was like.
I'm trying to think of like recent base prospects that have been like really good.
Going in, I would be very scared just because, again, I don't think he's going to fall to the White Sox. I think Colorado might fall again on that sword, which has been the worst team to draft probably in the last 5 years. I looked at their draft classes, OMG. Like, they have not been great so far. We'll see in the future. But somebody, Oakland, Colorado, you're hoping one of those teams is the ones that make the mistake in the draft order before you. But somebody's going to make a mistake. And also, something that we're not looking at is I want to know if the White Sox do a balance between international signing to who they're drafting. Sometimes they like going opposites. You know, like if they go international signing and their number 1 guys like a pitcher, they want to go hitter. I still think the best international signing to draft class was Miguel Cabrera and what's the Mexican first baseman's name from the Marlins, and then he went up to the Rangers. What's his name? He ended up with the Dodgers. Played big leagues for like 14 years. That was a really good combination. But again,
you're talking about Adrian Gonzalez?
Adrian Gonzalez. He was 1-1. Like Miguel Cabrera got signed by the Marlins. Adrian Gonzalez was the first round pick. That's a good hell of a signing. So like when you're looking at the signing of the top 5 players, I wish that I knew more. So like the Venezuela has this kid, Jose Perdomo, at shortstop. They got him the 3rd ranked kid in baseball. Obviously he's young, he's 17. But like if you have him and you're like the White Sox and you know you have him locked in, then I'm like, okay, why would I bring in another shortstop? But if they're going with a shortstop or who the position player is, then I would not do that the same thing. So Gonzo, so going back to Gonzo, you're dying with Cody.
Yes.
Condon.
Can't even say his name.
Condon.
You
Condon like Ramden.
Is he better than Montgomery?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. The guy, by the way, the kid Griffin is better than Montgomery potential-wise and prospect-wise.
You're saying Braden Montgomery.
Are you talking about Colson Montgomery or the other outfielder?
Colson, the guy on the White Sox. Colson.
Yeah.
The hope.
Yeah, Condon is a better prospect, a higher
Yeah.
higher scouting grades than Colson Montgomery.
You know who scares me though? And he looks great on paper, but I might like him more as a left-handed pitcher because he looked great in that, but he's both. The guy from Florida, Jack Caglianone.
Caglianone.
Have you seen his strikeouts the year before last year? OMG. They were shoving it. That is so I said not to him because we already have a really ripped guy that I would like to see in the big leagues one day, and that's Little Judge, our guy.
He's still at least 3 years away.
Fine, let him come in 3 years. I don't need another guy with that many muscles.
That man got a 40% strikeout rate in his BABIP.
I'm just saying we already have someone with that makeup. I'm just saying though, we already have somebody with that makeup that I think is going to develop better and is looking pretty good right now. So why bring another first baseman left-handed? So if he falls to the White Sox, I don't think that the White Sox should consider him either.
So the thing about Caglianone, at least from a hitting perspective, is he's got the power. He doesn't strike out a lot. Like he had twice as many, he had more than twice as many walks than strikeouts.
In college.
Yes, that's perfectly fair. Obviously, those numbers are going to even out, or even switch to more strikeouts than walks. But I mean, crazy. The 58 walks, 26 strikeouts. He had more home runs than strikeouts.
Well, no, he's a monster. He probably became one of the worst hitters on the Florida State team, the University of Florida team, from one year to the next. He literally found himself, and obviously that's why he's a third-ranked player right now in Major League Baseball. The guy on the fourth, though, JJ Hammy. Okay,
JJ Hammy is JJ Weatherholt, the infielder from
JJ Hammy.
Just in case our viewers didn't know.
Right.
Well, JJ Hammy Weatherholt. The only reason that this player to me is scary is the injury stuff. If the injury stuff is like not an issue, he is the best player, pound for pound, baseball player all around. Mind you, he doesn't have a tool that you're like, he doesn't have the power of Charlie or Jack, might not have the speed of other guys in the draft class or the arm. But when you put the full package together and you watch him on video, you're like, that guy's a ball player.
But I mean, he hit 450.
That's what I mean. He's a ball player, like second, short, third. I saw him doing a play, like a back pick play. Like he looks like a guy that is a grinder.
That's the difference to me between him and, like, we heard all the numbers and all the scouting reports and blah, blah, blah about Nick Madrigal. He's the best pure hitter and he makes contact. He won't strike out. That's fine. We learned very, very quickly once we all saw him in the major leagues, that man is so fucking mechanical on a field. He cannot, he's processing everything as he's doing it. There is zero fluidity to his game. And one of my biggest complaints about Eloy Jimenez, Luis Robert, Yohan Moncada, even Tim Anderson, they have this accumulation of talent and athleticism. They are not baseball players. I want baseball players. You don't have to be the strongest guy. I don't care what the fuck you look like on TikTok with your shirt off. Can you hit? Can you field? Can you run? Are you smart? Do you know where to cut off throws? Do you make the right plays? That's what I want. I want baseball players. And to me, Weatherholt might be the best baseball player, something the White Sox haven't had in a long time.
So even if you don't develop him well, he's still going to find ways to like grind it out and make it to the leagues. So his mix of grades is hitting 65, which means when you're grading hitting, it's plate discipline, zone recognition. Pretty much if like Luis Robert wouldn't get 65 in hitting just because he swings at everything. Like Latino guys think baseball wise don't have that eye. Jose Ramirez means the kid has some knowledge. Power at 50, I always say that it's going to go up because at 5'10", 190 pounds, you're probably going to get stronger. Probably have better working out programs, kind of just figure it out. So the power, which is fine because he's going to be either an infielder. The running, I love it at 60, okay? Means he's not a guy that's like, oh my God, speed. Like, I'm going to steal 100 bases, but he's fast enough that he's going to be able to play in the big league levels. No problem from a leg standpoint. Arm 50, very good because it means he can play shortstop and second base, third base. Usually anything under 50, you're like eliminate, two of the situations. And then the fielding also at 50, which means he can pick it. I've seen the videos. He doesn't look mechanical. I always think you can get better at fielding when you have a great infield instructor, but he is athletic. he is a baseball player. So I think that if his hamstring issues, okay, if this guy did not have hamstring issues showing up in his report, I would think from a talent standpoint, I think baseball wise, he's the best guy in the top in the draft from the guys that we see in the top 25 guys on the list.
So OJ, listening to you talk about JJ Hammy, it makes me think about what Baltimore is doing with Jordan Westberg. When are the White Sox are going to get into a talented utility player? I'm not saying, use a premium pick on, a utility player, but JJ is the type of guy where his tools, he could move around the diamond. Like if you already, like, for example, the Tribe have Rocchio, right? And I don't know if he's going to stick or whatever, but let's just say Rocchio turns it up. I'm talking about two, 3 all-star games or whatever.
Yeah, they got to find Jimenez.
Andres Jimenez, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. The White Sox are locked because look at the transition from Yohan Moncada from second to third base. Like, yeah, the numbers have improved, but did the team really get better? Like, did our ceiling raise with Yohan Moncada being a third baseman? We could make the argument right now if J.J. Weatherholt comes in as a shortstop and plays second base for the White Sox, that can drastically improve the direction of the team because of his foundation as a player himself, because he has the tools to move around the diamond. We're an injury-prone team.
Well, versatility, though, I think when you have so much talent, and that's the only thing I like about Colson having other options, because with his size, if he becomes this great hitter, and Brian Ramos makes it, Baldwin makes it, the Gonzalez kid makes it, and he has to go grab a first baseman's glove or a corner outfielder's glove because that's his only way he's going to make a living in the big leagues, I think he can do it if his bat comes around. So with what I like about JJ is that that you can have options of, if guys that are already in the system make it, you can have this kid and say, okay, well, we have an elite shortstop in, Colson, let's say. Oh, JJ will play second because he's developing into that. Or Brian Ramos didn't pan out, so we'll have JJ go there. So I think I like the versatility of multiple positions, because then you can have somebody like that. And imagine if he could be a big league guy. And I think of the team that gets a guy like this, Orioles, Cleveland has Gabriel Arias. A lot of teams have different guys, but imagine a super utility guy, but produces like an everyday player.
Jordan Westberg,
Javi Baez at the top when the Cubs won the World Series.
I feel like I've heard a lot of Ben Zobrist type comparison.
Well, Ben Zobrist, but no, but Ben Zobrist did it. Ben Zobrist did it like at the end of his career and like had to do that. I'm talking like Javi Baez, other than the MVP run that he had that year, when the Cubs won the World Series, he played, you look at the Baseball Reference and you're like, that season, he played every day, but he played a different position every day. So imagine if like you could have a big league talent, like Yohan Moncada, meaning a little bit of better hitter from that, but not only is he playing third, but he's playing second, short, like he becomes this guy that's playing multiple positions. It could really help out a team because when somebody goes down, you can have that person come pop up and kind of be that guy. So I think that that's why that kid JJ Weatherholt, Hammy, like I like to call him, because everyone's talking about his hamstring. That's why he's very, very sexy. Left bat, throws right. And his videos, again, I'm a sucker for that. Guy's grimy. Guy's hard-nosed.
Yeah.
Goes, is a baseball player. You look at the videos, you look at him do the interview, got a little swag to him. I like him. I think I told Gonzo, if Cleveland can guarantee like in their team that he does not have hamstring issues, I can see them going to get him.
Yeah, you don't have to rush him. I mean, Cleveland.
No, you don't. But he's a Cleveland player. Put the ball in play, run.
The Tribe is an infield factory, so they already could incubate. They could incubate prospects and stuff like that. You guys remember when Albert Pujols first came up? How TLR had him playing every other position: third base, outfield, first base. Like, that's such a luxury when you have that level of talent with that type of versatility. The White Sox have never had that. Like Connor Griffin, JJ Weatherholt, that's your opportunity. Like, people right now, we're watching George Walcott kill it in right field. as one of our third base prospects. You know what I'm saying? That's great for me because
Jay, who's your fifth pick though? Like you're looking at this. Did you find anybody on the list and you say, I want to go with Jacob Cozart, like some dude that's not in the top 5?
Actually, I probably just Charlie and Connor Griffin. You talked me into Weatherholt because I do like guys that move the diamond, but Connor Griffin would be the perfect the pick for me, to be honest, if I had to go, because like he's already a good center fielder. You're talking about trading Luis Robert. Like, okay, cool. Have a plan in place. Like he's good enough to where you could be sold on him, but doesn't get in the White Sox.
No hamstring issues either.
No hammy.
No, not yet. If the White Sox pick him, I'm sure he'll pull it to the next day.
But if you see Connor at 18, and again, when I looked at Connor and looked at his video and looked at all that, I had no idea. I found out later on Twitter that he's the guy that they're saying that is going to go to the White Sox. So he fits the profile, like a very good high school player, overdeveloped, playing high school since he was like 8th grade, 3-time state champion, Golden Gatorade Player of the Year, or whatever the high school, Mississippi, top baseball. So I think the hardest thing in the room, and it's Gonzo's decision, meaning when we ask Gonzo, if something happens in the first 5 rounds, in the first 4 rounds, where they thought about Connor being their guy the whole time, but then one of those guys in the top 4 does not get picked, and then because I don't think they're going to pick a pitcher. I think they have so much pitching.
Probably out of the question.
No, I'm saying I think they have so much pitching that there's nobody here. Chase Burns, like there's nobody there that I think is going to be better than Noah, meaning like profile wise, what Noah provided for them, and then the guys that they have in the minors. So I think they're going to stay away from pitching and bring a position player. So I don't think any of the pitchers kind of impact that. But I think that it's going to be the hard decision of that moment. Is it might go perfect. It might go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then they get to pick between, Brandon Montgomery, Connor Griffin. And I think their guy's going to be Connor Griffin because I think he's the best one out of that mix. But if something happens in that top 4, that's when we're going to see. That's when we got to hope the White Sox don't panic.
What happens if the bats go?
What do you mean they go? There's only 4 bats that can go.
So
yeah, even if let's say Bazana, Condon, Caglione, and Weatherholt go 1 through 4, you could still get Griffin or Montgomery theoretically.
What happens if Cag drops though?
Well, we know the White Sox talked to him, and apparently we're impressed. Again,
what I'm saying though,
power back first baseman.
No. What I'm saying though is if Bazana, Condon, Weatherholt, and let's just say Griffin goes 4, right? And then you're left with Cag, Smith, Burns, Rayner. I think they would lean pitcher in that scenario.
Better have a good backup plan, because so when I'm looking, okay, so this is what I think is going to happen. So
I think pick Caglione if he was there at 5.
Yeah, if he's there at 5,
and that's where I would disagree.
I think that they might go with the pitching then.
Yeah, and this is where we would disagree because you like Smith, but I like Burns.
I'd be fine with either one. If they're going to pick an arm, I don't think you can go wrong between either of the two.
I like Wake Forest. Pick an arm. Well, Wake Forest's pitching ability with guys there, I think is going to be really well advanced. And you're not going to go. I think the other guy's just nastier. Like he just looks like more of a big league guy. Like come in, like kind of be that, kind of like that nasty lefty, which is always sexier. But I think Chase Burns is going to come in and be, he's going to
Paul Skeens Jr.
No, I'm saying he's going to compete. Like I see him and I'm like, this guy's going to go to the minor leagues and compete. It's going to be about him competing and figuring it out. But I think that if he stays healthy and does his thing, I think he's going to be able to compete. Like he's a good arm, good pitcher. I would take him over Jack, in my opinion. I just think the White Sox cannot go lefty bat again. It's just very dangerous for them, even if he ends up being like, the next so-and-so, and we're going to hear it forever. But I think that you need to have that backup plan of, again, between the pitchers, if it's going to be him, it's going to be him. Like you got to be like, okay, if we don't get our guy, we got to go with, Brandon, with Bush, with Chase Burns, no matter what.
Last question on the draft. Do you guys think because they drafted Jacob Gonzalez and Colson Montgomery theoretically 2 middle infielders with their last few first-round picks, that they would be hesitant to take somebody like Rayner, Weatherholt, even Bazana. Like, are they going to be hesitant to take a middle infielder because they already have Brooks Baldwin? Not that he was a high pick, but he's already, producing in AAA. Jacob Gonzalez, Colson Montgomery, already in AAA. Are they going to say, where are we going to give these guys playing time?
Take the best person available in the draft.
I agree with you. My question is,
Trade
if you're
up,
the
trade.
White
I
Sox,
don't think they will. I think they take the best body, and then you figure out seeing who the best player is going to be, and you convert them or do something when you're developing them. But I don't think that you should shy away from the best player in the draft because you can always trade.
100%.
So I don't think they will.
agree with you
I think the head of scouting is going to go with the best player available.
All right, so make your predictions. Junior, who you got? Who are they taking at 5?
I think Connor. Because I think they like high school guys. They want to develop their own way. He's 18 years old, and I think it gives them options of elite center fielder, potential infielder, and I think that everything's there. So I got to go with Connor Griffin. And the hard part is going to be if somebody else is on the board, they're going to have to decide between two of them. But I think Connor Griffin is the guy today because I think other teams are going to make a mistake and draft guys in the top 5. These marketing guys, like because some of these guys could be marketing, and they're going to be holding the bag at the end of the draft.
Gonzo, who are they taking at 5?
I agree. It's going to be Connor Griffin. I just feel surely he's going to go with the prep kid. So far he's hit with drafting a prep and Schultz. And I think this is going to be the second one off the board that he's going to draft. And it's hard really when you look at it. It was a good point that Junior brought up with the injury history because you can't really trust. I don't feel like you can trust your medical staff. So I would go with the conservative pick, especially with the potential that he has. I think that's what they're going to do. And as well as Junior, I'm also along that philosophy of it's going to be tough to see because I feel like someone's going to drop, and it's going to be between Condon or Weatherholt. I think it's going to be Condon and Weatherholt. I think it's going to be Weatherholt.
Every single player in the draft, Condon.
Weatherholt and Griffin. I think that's what the decision is going to be between, and I feel like they're going to go with Griffin.
Yeah, I got Connor Griffin too. And Slav, to just go back to your point about the middle infield. The White Sox are not a middle infield factory, so they don't have the luxury of pivoting.
They're not a factory of anything but bad baseball.
They used to be the first base factory. Now that's over with. So it's like you don't have the equity to sit here and say, oh well, we got shortstop at home. Let me go here. No, you don't. Like, we're having a conversation right now. Colson Montgomery nor Jacob Gonzalez looks like the shortstop of the future. So, yeah, give me Connor Griffin, but also give me best player available too, because you can mold him.
So I'll say this real quick though: if Connor Griffin is not on the board, okay, and he is taken by the first 4 teams for whatever reason, you go de facto Chase Burns, pick him, forget about it, take the pitcher. Like, go save.
You could have your choice of the best pitcher in the class.
That's what I mean. If Connor Griffin, if you go into the draft and you say Connor Griffin's our guy, okay, and something happens in the first 4 rounds where somebody does something crazy, the Guardians go in and take Connor Griffin, number 1 overall pick, and you're like, oh my God, it's nuts. You have to have a de facto. You cannot risk and say, oh, wow, that player fell, so we're going to take him because it's Cleveland, the Guardians, they're very good at what they do. You got to take their scouting department into consideration and say, why are they not taking these guys? I need to have a safe bet, a safe player, and that's going to be Chase Burns. And if it's after Chase Burns, then I got to have my 3rd safe player. They got to have a list of
If you draft Chase Burns, does that mean Crochet stays?
No, yes. You can have all the arms that you can have. You can never have too many arms, but I think that you need to. The Chase Burns right here is the safety pick for for a team. So I think a team's actually going to get lucky with him that might be later in the rounds because it's going to fall to them, like in a fantasy baseball league where that guy just went there because the guy doesn't know anything about the thing and he just takes him because it falls in that slot. It's a safe pick. Like, I don't think anyone's going to get fired over picking Chase Burns as the number 1 pitcher in the draft. And then they ends up not developing that. I just think that's just, it's a very safe bet for a team. So I think the Sox should have them in the top. The top 4 guys are very, very, I think they're very, all of them have great things, but they all have a lot of also negatives.
I'm going to surprise you guys.
Oh boy.
I'm going to say, don't ask me why. I have this feeling they're going to go with Braden Montgomery, and they're just going to kind of surprise everybody. They're going to take the outfielder. When you look at their system, there's really not much in the way of outfield help that's kind of close. Not that Montgomery is like super close, but he's 21, college outfielder. I think they look at him and they say, he's got pop. He's got a hell of an arm. We might be able to get a really good outfielder out of him. And we might be able to turn him into a nice power hitter. And sooner than later.
And he has a broken ankle.
But also, yeah, like.
and his overall hitting is 50.
Yeah, but that would be such a White Sox thing to do. Where you have
correct.
Everyone's sitting there with like Connor Griffin's on the board at 5 when the White Sox are on the clock, and Chase Burns and Hagen Smith are both there, and they fucking take Braden Montgomery.
I agree.
Just loses their mind.
Did this guy play another sport?
High
ceiling guys.
Yeah, I mean, he was like all-world Mississippi high schooler.
Correct. So it was funny. What was his name? He played at LSU. Kenny drafted him. I'm just gonna say a funny story right now about a draft pick and being at the stadium. So
that's my prediction.
What was the White Sox picture? That's a good prediction, actually, on like what back and go. But what was the player's name the Sox drafted? He played at LSU. Great football player.
Oh, Hawkins.
Yeah, Courtney Hawkins.
No, it wasn't Courtney. It was the other one.
Mitchell.
Jared Mitchell.
Okay, so we're in the clubhouse.
He would have been before he broke his ankle. He was a fucking prospect.
Before I ate a lot of cheeseburgers, I was a great prospect. So this is a funny story. So the draft's going on, and when the draft's going on, the College World Series is going on too. Okay. So there's always funny stories about draft picks and like what happens when they bring the guys in and whatnot. Because players are like, oh, who did we pick? So when they pick Gordon Beckham, for example, College World Series on, Gordon's hitting 3rd. They're like, oh, damn, we just picked the 3rd hitter for Georgia. Like, oh, that's cool. That makes sense. Jared Mitchell, I think, was hitting like 8th. Okay. So we're like, wait, the 1st round pick is hitting 8th in college baseball. And all his highlights during the baseball game were all football highlights.
No.
And everybody was like, oh, man, we hope that this guy could play baseball, because everything's about, like, you would ask people like, oh, Garrett Mitchell, oh man, his speed's crazy, 2-sport athlete, and you're like, can he play baseball though? Like, it's like you drafted LeBron and you only talk about his basketball side. Like Michael Jordan, like, you had Michael and he was a basketball player, but you drafted him in baseball, but you're talking about how sick of a basketball player he is. That's what you don't want. So those are the funny things that happened during the draft day of ironic things. That was a good one that we were like, man. Then the manager from LSU was not wrong. He had him hitting 8th for a reason.
All right, so you guys are all going with Connor Griffin. I'm going off the board with Braden Montgomery. I just have a feeling.
By the way, if he's Braden Montgomery, you're going to get, oh my God.
White Sox Twitter is going to lose their mind.
I just think it's that is a very White Sox pick, and that's very scary.
I just for some reason, it just stands out to me that they just don't really have much.
Nick goes in there and tells them, hey, my advice is to take Brandon.
I don't hate I wouldn't hate Montgomery, the pick itself, but with the guys on the board, depending on who it is, that could be altering for me.
So what's one guy you wouldn't take in the top 10, Gonzo? That you say absolutely not.
I know me and Slav said Kag, but I'd also add Kurtz to it.
I didn't say that. I mean, he wouldn't be my first pick, but if you add him to the system, like, he's a nice prospect.
For the top 10, from what we haven't said, I'd say Nick Kurtz, if Nick Kurtz was selected.
I just think nobody talks about him because he's a first baseman and everyone doesn't want to draft another first baseman. But I don't think he's like a horrible prospect. The guy that scares me the most is the number 2 prospect, and he can end up being the next Jim Thome, right-handed and amazing player. Charlie scares me a lot. Condon scares me a lot just because. And Gonzo's like, you like makeup, 6'6", very scary, long arms. I'm thinking 6'6". I'm thinking you should be in a basketball court or pitching. I just think long arm, long swing. But each team thinks, and then the Travis Bazana, PTSD, thinking Nick Madrigal. That's just me, though. But I think he has a better all-around skill set. And this is funny because when I showed my Ozzie Sr., a second baseman, first round, he said, I can get that guy 70,000 times in Venezuela. I can find a second baseman anywhere I can that can probably come in.
I'm just not. So. I just wasn't really that scared by the swing. It sounds like it's compact, short and compact, from what I'm reading and seeing.
Gonzo, have you ever watched any of these guys play live?
No.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Just making sure. All right, let's move on. We made our predictions for the draft. We'll have hopefully we'll have a guest on in the next week or two to discuss the picks that they did make. We've seen the White Sox. We saw last year they kind of went on the cheaper side, so to speak, in the first round to try to spend more in the second, third, fourth, fifth, get some high school guys. We'll see if they have a similar approach this year. So moving on to our upcoming schedule, Gonzo, Jay, what do we got?
So this weekend, it's a home series versus the potential NL Central Division champs and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pitchers to be determined.
You smoking dope.
What did you just say? The Central Division champs?
Yeah.
The potential NL Central.
By the way, what happened to Milwaukee?
Pirates fans want to sell. They're pissed.
Why?
Because they've not been playing well lately.
He's only saying that because he's got a poster of that skiing guy. I guarantee you he's got a poster of skiing in his room. That's why he thinks they're going to win everything. Okay, Gonzo, against the potential Central Division champs.
Yes, so pitchers to be determined, but from the White Sox side of it, it's at least going to look like Crochet, Cannon, Flexen, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Ryan Reynolds is their best hitter right now for the Pittsburgh Pirates, batting .280, 17 home runs, 56 ribbies. Jay, go ahead and break it down from the other guys on that squad.
Well, we're dodging a bullet because Kukui O'Neal Cruz is kind of hurt right now. So we got there. The thing is, Gonzo, I'm not even gonna lie. The problem I have with the White Sox facing the Pittsburgh is they manufacture runs. They get a lot of fucking base runners, and they know how to push them across. If you look, they got Nick Gonzalez batting cleanup just for genetic makeup of the lineup. You know what I'm saying? You talked about Brian Reynolds, who is actually the engine of the offense. He's batting 2. You got Rowdy Tellez, who's going to be in the Hall of Fame if he keeps going at this pace. So we're running into a team to where, no, they don't have the talent. They're cheap and they're trying to sell. But then again, look who they're playing on the South Side. Another team, cheap, and that's going to sell. So another White Sox sweep, we're going to get destroyed. Watch out for Nick Gonzalez. And they just recalled the creative player named Joshua Palacios from Brooklyn.
Hey, Palacios can play. I've seen him play in the minors. He can play a little bit.
His plate approach is really underrated. He sees a lot of pitches. He also is a battler too, and that's gonna fuck up a guy like Garrett Crochet's pitch count, Zach Cannon's pitch count too. Pittsburgh does a great job fouling off pitches, just being annoying, just dragging the game on, and we don't have a bullpen to sustain that. We can't guarantee insurance runs. So, I mean, you could watch out for Brian Reynolds. You could, be glad you're watching Andrew McCutchen. But the Rowdy Tellez, the Nick Gonzalez's, the Richie Palacios, those are the guys that are going to beat you.
Man, what happened to Key Brian Hayes?
He okay. He got a noodle bat, Gold Glove noodle bat.
Yeah, he can pick it, but he can't hit for shit.
Man.
Oh,
all right, what's after the Pirates?
All-Star game.
Oh, definitely don't lose that.
Garrett Crochet.
Garrett Crochet.
Do you think he'll pitch?
Yes. Well, yes. When's the last start? Wait, hold on. When is his last start? What day does he pitch?
Friday.
So he
Yep.
pitches Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Tuesday. It's 4 days.
He'll get an inning.
He'll get an inning because he'll
Yeah,
get
that's-
Wednesday,
that's
Tuesday.
perfect
Yeah, he'll get
for
an
him.
inning.
The
He'll get the
All-Star is
second
perfect
inning.
for
He'll
Crochet.
go Scooble. Actually, he'll get the third. He'll go Scooble, some right-hander, and then Crochet.
Who's the American League manager?
Huck.
Boch.
Oh,
He's gonna
Boch.
go.
Oh, he don't care. He might pitch Crochet 9 innings.
Do you see Senior texted him during the postgame show the other day? He's like, hey,
Yes.
he told him a fake bet. Like, I put $10,000. You got to start Crochet in the All-Star game.
Scooble,
yeah.
Huck, Scooble, Huck, and Crochet.
Yeah, that might.
So
make
he has.
sense.
So by the way, so
Screwball
does it have-
Logan Gilbert. Crochet.
It doesn't have the. There's no rule anymore, right? If you win, the American League gets the home field advantage.
It's still the
No.
rule.
Oh, so he's got to win that game.
It's not.
Oh no!
They changed it.
Oh, best
Stop
record.
it. Stop.
Best
it.
record gets it. Because when Ozzy managed, it was whoever.
That hasn't been a
won.
rule since like Bud Selig.
I'm just saying. But when Ozzy was a manager, that was a rule. That was a long time ago. But I
That
always
was
thought that
12 years ago.
No, correct. I didn't know that. Again, every year that it goes in, I think I like the fact that it's not the rule because I don't think that the All-Star game should determine the home field advantage for the World Series. But
Let's get to the best part of the show.
I hate
I want my W. I want to eat that W like Jameis Winston said.
And this is Picks to Click. And as Slavko mentioned, we went away for a week. So Slavko doubled up.
2
One
points.
One with Luis Robert, got 2 points. Luis in those 14 games hit 270, 4 home runs, and he was just bossing us around.
half of his season.
The pick order with Robert off the board is going to be Slavko, Jay, me, and then OJ.
I'm just the real White Sox Pick to Click guy here. Last place.
What were the three? Who were the three starters again for Pittsburgh?
So Friday, Sunday is to be determined. It looks like Saturday's Keller.
So
By the way,
it'll probably be Luis Ortiz getting one of those starts too.
I don't know who
Yeah.
these fucking guys are. No,
But this is a funny thought. Slav, here's the part that's funny. Yeah, they're gonna win the division. They're 8.5 out, and they're getting schlackled again, 8-0
By the real
Milwaukee
division winner.
Brewers- by the real division winners.
They've lost
real
like
sweepers.
three or four straight
They're
series.
gone. By the way,
against
the
Central
Sox. By the way,
opponents, I
if the
think.
Sox have a chance to sweep a series, is this one versus the Pirates?
We said that
Oh,
against
Not
the
gonna
Rockies.
happen. It's
They
not
could
gonna
even,
happen.
they even beat the Marlins.
Yeah, it's
They're coming
Yeah.
hot. You got the 3 best starters coming in.
Zach Cannon is gonna have another Detroit
Oh.
Tigers start.
Pittsburgh split their last 10. They're 5-5. And wild card wise, they are 2.5 out of the wild card.
in the National League. Everybody's 2.5 out.
National League, yeah.
Yeah, everybody's like 2.5 out.
But they're like
Everybody
in the
goes
top.
into the wild card except the White Sox.
I hate you, bro.
standings. So standings are me and Jay are at 5. Slavko's 2, bumped him up to 3. OJ's got
whoa, I
1.
got 2 points.
Oh, that's right. You're 4.
Yeah, that's right. You see,
Slight
you cheating
adjustment.
motherfucker. This is how you end up at the top of the leaderboard.
This is sad, bro.
Making shit up.
I forgot.
So break
to
the
put that in
points
there.
down. Like nobody picked Lenny Sosa.
Yeah,
Martin
what's the
Maldonado.
standings
Hey,
again?
hold on, calm down, OJ. Calm down now.
So 5, 4, 1.
5, 4, 1. It's gonna be so sweet when I win. So everyone's available except for Robert, correct?
Yes.
Including Eloy Jimenez.
I thought about
Martin
it.
Maldonado.
I really thought about it. I wanted to see something out of him today that gave me some hope.
By the way, he's
I
got
didn't
10
see it.
hits. The last 15 days, though, he's got 10 hits, 4 RBIs, 1 double,
Wow,
5
that's
walks,
great.
1 RBI, though. But again, it's coming around. It's Ozzie Guillen stats, 250. Not the greatest in 13 games, but the power still is not around. But, he's there.
I'm going to take I'm going to take Andrew Benintendi.
Wow.
Exactly. I have a feeling. He went opposite field a few times today, and I like to see that from him. But with authority, not just yeah, that's all I got.
So Slavko, Jay, me, OJ.
This team sucks ass. Who the fuck do you want me to pick? Without
Jay,
Robert, like
you're on
it's
the
nobody
board.
worth the shit.
I'm gonna take OJ's guy. Give me Lenine Sosa. I got to get back on the board.
I thought about Lenine.
God damn it, I was about to go there.
Yeah, that's why I had to tell OJ pump
He
the
got
brakes.
17 hits in the last 15 games. He ain't repeating those next 15 days.
And that's why I didn't take him.
Yeah.
Whatever. He got the Pirates, remember? How we gonna sweep if Lenine ain't getting no hits?
Well, somebody else will. Martin Maldonado.
I dare you.
The hottest hitter
Let's
in the
go.
world.
Be a man. Be a Martin.
I get
I'm
one
on
just as bad.
I'm on the board. I'm gonna go with Andrew Vaughn.
By the only time I've ever considered taking Andrew Vaughn and Gonzo takes him from me. This is crazy. Okay. I'm gonna take
That's
Brooks
literally
Baldwin.
my favorite pitcher on here, bro.
Brooks Baldwin.
Ow.
Watch him get called up tomorrow.
Brooks Baldwin, AAA affiliate. I'll take him in his stats against whatever you guys do.
You don't want Sheets again?
He had a really bad week. I'll take him again.
Yep. Not Jimenez.
Do you know how sad it is? In the year of our Lord, 2024, in the fucking middle of the
because
goddamn
he's not gonna
season,
play him.
we
Here's the
just
thing,
took
though.
Benintendi, Sosa, Vaughn, and Sheets.
You want Eloy then?
No, I don't want.
Okay.
You know what? No, hold on.
That's your point right there. No, I don't want Eloy.
I just don't know. Comparing Eloy to Gavin, you know
They
what?
all suck.
Or do you want Nicky Lopez?
No, we don't catch defensive ground balls.
Tommy Pham still
I
available.
think I
No,
want
Tommy
pick to
Pham.
click with
Tommy
Nicky
Pham
Lopez.
is dropping like the stock market in 82, 83.
You could have Maldonado. You can have Maldonado.
Yeah, but here's
Hottest
the
hitter
thing.
in the world.
By the way, I don't know. Okay, here's a dilemma. Martin Maldonado's hot, so I don't know if he's going to play all the time because Pedro's going to do that, or now he's going to decide to play Corey Lee. So it's like I cannot go with the catcher position. You know what? I went Gavin Sheets, had a horrible week, had horrible 2 weeks, 4 hits, 3 doubles, 1 RBI, just poor. I'm going to go with Eloy
it's
Jimenez.
only one series, so until our next episode,
I'm going to go
only
Eloy
counting
Jimenez. I'm going to go
3
Eloy.
games.
I'm going to go Eloy. Eloy's the safe bet. He's still on my fantasy team for utility ability. He's still on my
Ryan
fantasy.
Time.
His worst ability is his inability.
Yeah. He's
You
but no,
took
I
unavailability.
can't
His
take
worst
Brooks
ability
Baldwin.
is his inability.
I can't take Brooks Baldwin though.
No,
No,
I like Brooks Baldwin. By the way, I like Brooks Baldwin, guys.
you're honestly Garrett Crochet probably would have been the best pick.
Does he have a start?
It's only 3 games and he's playing Friday.
And I said the sweep though, right? But how do I get points for Crochet? He has to get the win.
If he
Yeah.
gets like 7 shutouts and 10 punchies, like I'd give a point unless someone with the bat goes off for like 3 homers, drives in 5.
Oh, I'll take Crochet. He might.
No, you can't. You just went through like 5
He
dudes.
just picked him.
I'll go Eloy. I'll go
I'll
Eloy.
take
But
Sheets.
Crochet.
I'll take Eloy.
No.
I'll
Well, they
take
all
Brooks
start.
Baldwin.
No, but I'm saying
Give me
I don't like
Crochet.
the pitchers. Well, I thought
You're
the
a
rule was
throwdown.
you have to get 2 wins to get the point.
I'll take Jermaine Dye.
No, I thought Crochet had to get 2 wins to get the
Christian
point.
Who
I
are
thought
you
you had to
picking?
We're only playing until our next episode. We only have 3 games.
Got it. Watch Sheets. Watch Crochet throw a no hitter.
No, I bet you it's the opposite. Watch him go 2 1/3, give up 6 earned.
I'm going Eloy. Eloy's going to be facing AAA pitching.
God
He's got
damn it. I just put Eloy and then cross him up to put Crochet and then you.
No, Eloy. I'll take Eloy.
Eloy.
Final answer.
Eloy, final answer. Dude,
All
he's
right,
got to
good.
hit a home run eventually.
How long is it eventually?
I'm just saying,
All right.
he can't. He's not going to go. Hold on. He's not going like your boy Tim Anderson.
All right. Picks are Slavko's going with Benny. Jay's going with Sosa. I'm going with Vaughn. And OJ is finally going with Eloy as his final answer.
By the way, if Eloy has this type of drop off where he doesn't even go deep anymore, it is Tim Anderishkish.
Yeah,
Like, the
because he
numbers
getting
right
DFA.
He's not going to get DFA. Number one, Eloy's not going to get DFA. But I'm just saying, like, his power numbers.
No, he'll get bought out.
Yeah, but his power numbers are like right now, like when you look at hits to
No, they
at
just have
bats,
to
like home runs to
decline.
at bats, you would think that because of his size that he would just run into one.
They just have to decline the club option.
Well, that's going to happen.
Yeah, but that's this off season.
He's better hope that Tiburon is not.
Is that
in
inevitable?
the next couple of years.
Eloy getting his club option declined. That's inevitable, right?
Why wouldn't it get declined? It's like 20 million.
He would have to have the most monster
No,
second
no.
half.
It's done. It's done.
Well, I guess it's not because technically, if he does go on let's just say he does go on a tear and he gets traded, then you don't have to decline it. So
Well,
why would he get traded? Who's
no,
he
you would have
traded
to. You couldn't trade him unless you had to pick up the
I'm
option.
sorry
It's
for
not a
asking,
mutual
sorry.
option, right? It's just a buyout.
Sorry.
no, it's a club option.
And
That's what I'm saying.
by the way, just letting you
You
guys
have
know,
to pick up the option to trade him. You can't decline it and trade him.
he's in the complex working out, but he doesn't feel great.
Yeah.
That's the 411 on that.
Who?
Moncada?
Moncada?
Okada, he's back to the complex. Like he's at the complex. He's taking at bats and whatnot. But he's like, I'm not gonna be back in 2 weeks.
Well, I don't even remember what's the injury.
It's like his hip.
Adductor.
It's like a hip, leg, blood circulation.
Lower
Yeah,
body
I
injury.
thought it was the adductor. It's the same.
Hammy,
somebody
dude,
just
I didn't.
went
I
out with the
failed.
same
I
one.
failed that class. No, it's like in his hip abductor, like that side
Severe
section.
leg injury.
Yeah, it's like it goes all the way to your
Left
hamstring.
abductor strain.
Yeah. So that's why I said you don't want to have that hammy.
All right, last thing. Shout outs before we get out of here.
All right, well, I'll kick it off. First of all, I got to give a shout out to Asia. It's wedding season. She's knee deep in cake. Do what you got to do, baby girl. Love you. Also, I want to give a shout out to what's the kid's name that pitched for Arizona the other day? OJ
Yeber.
Oh, the Venezuelan kid?
Diaz.
Yes.
The ice cream
Diaz, yeah.
seller?
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to give him a shout out because he was working a 9 to 5, trying to make ends meet with still his mind on his dreams, and he didn't stop. Like we all at one point of our life, I'm gonna just speak for myself. We gotta work a 9 to 5, but we still have aspirations somewhere else. I'm so proud of him because it was a very turbulent life he was living. He was coming to the States or whatever, and he could have folded, and he didn't. He kept striving. Like he could have kept selling ice cream, but he didn't. Now he's shutting out the Braves.
What would you do if your son was at home crying all alone on the bedroom floor because he's hungry, and the only way to feed him is to sleep with a man for a little bit of money? Oh my God, you didn't get the reference?
No.
Jay, I'm disappointed in you.
I sleep with that man.
You don't remember that? What? I'd sleep with that man. Oh my God,
I thought you were looking for an answer.
I'm gonna have to send it to the group chat. I can't believe
Yeah,
you
you
guys
have
don't
to.
know the song.
No.
What would you do if your son was at home? You know that song. Don't
yes,
fuck
I
with
know
me.
that song.
Yeah.
I know
But
that
I
song.
just gave you the answer. I'd sleep with that man.
No, well, now we know.
that would have me know. Keep that receipt. Hopefully find that.
Shout out Yobert Diaz.
But
We should gift that. Just Junior going, I'd sleep with that man.
well, glad that was the situation. You know what? I tweeted what I tweeted because
About sleeping with a man?
no. Well, hopefully you know whatever you got to do.
I don't like
no,
where this is going.
I just
at
talked. No, I
all.
just talked about the age where we're cutting guys at 16 years old, and we're talking about the draft, and no one talks about the dark side of the draft. The guys that go undrafted. Okay.
Yep.
And just like we talk about these five top guys, and we're kind of making fun of them. They're in the top 5 of the top 10 because they did something at the college or high school level to put themselves at the top of that position for them to be the best. Doesn't necessarily mean that's guaranteed that they're going to be the best in the future, which is the majority of the guys that are actually going to be in Major League Baseball. So my shout out is going to be, so we're talking draft, to those guys that are probably going to go undrafted and are going to sign and are eventually going to make the Major League Baseballs, like this young man that at 16, he was probably told, you're no longer any good, leaves Venezuela after he signs. At 20, if you're a Latino player and you're not an affiliated ball or like indie ball or something, you're basically done, but you might still have the talent. He kept at it. Somebody saw him, and now his talent is there. If you have talent where you're throwing that hard and you have that ability, never give into it. I respect those guys. You see guys playing like in those indie leagues. Talent is talent, man. Sometimes it takes some guys to figure it out, and when you're grinding that hard, baseball's hard. That's why I think I love baseball so much, because when draft happens, everyone like celebrates that first pick, but then that guy comes to camp, and him who got paid $9 million and some dude that got signed as a undrafted free agent, and they're competing essentially for the same position. So that's what's great about it. So a lot of people are going to go undrafted. Doesn't mean that your career's over. You just got to keep grinding. But that kid's is a perfect example. Selling ice cream, new country, new everything, pitched. So shout out to him. So again, when teams that are out there saying, "Oh, you're done when you're 16. I'm never going to give you a chance," that scout thought differently, and he got himself a big leaguer, which I think that should be your job when you're looking at scouting and whatnot. You're trying to find the next big talent. And my next shout out was going to bring to Brooks Baldwin, number 6, Charlotte Knights, AAA affiliate. I'm watching a lot of minor league baseball across the whole system, not only the White Sox, but because of the work that I'm doing with Tiburones, trades that we want to make, young guys that are in our system that we want to see them playing. You know, we're looking at Jairo and Zavala for the White Sox, but I get to see other guys. And as much as we make fun of the guys that haven't made it, there's a lot of guys out there that are not number 1 picks that when you look at them in the at-bat, they look really good. You know, you're like, man, this guy looks like he can, you know, has a really good baseball feel, and I like him. I like his style. But the last part is 1 flap helmets are so underrated. AAA baseball needs to go to 1 flap because everyone with 2 flap helmets looks like they can't play baseball. It looks so bad. Even Dominic Fletcher, who's down there, was a big league guy. I couldn't even recognize him with the 2 flap. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And then I was like, oh my God, that's Dominic. Like, the 2 flap needs to go away and go to 1 flap. But Brooks Baldwin, he's on Ozzie Jr.'s list. So shout out to him. He had a great little series and he's playing really good. So
he hit a home run with his first swing.
Correct. And again, after that, he still played great defensively. I texted the group chat, like I was pissed because they had run on third base like twice and they didn't drive him in. And I was like, what? Like that was unacceptable. But out of everybody fundamental wise, Brooks, you know, he's not a veteran. He's there, just good. He shows like he could be a big league potential, like AAA is going to be something that he'll be able to accomplish. And we'll see him in the big leagues eventually. How good is he going to be in the big leagues? I don't know, but he's definitely going to play well on that AAA level. So I would like to see him up here and see what he can do sometime soon.
My shout outs, I'm going to shout out Soraya. With my busy schedule, with my day job, she made our 4th that much more memorable. We went to a nice Taiwanese restaurant here in San Diego. Enjoyed the 4th. And also, I'm going to shout out Garrett Crochet for making my bold prediction come true. Let's go, Garrett. Can't wait to see you in Globe Life. This is going to be fun to watch. And my last shout out is going to be Justin because with his mid-ass fantasy team, I was able to sweep the floor with him. And
that's not how.
I'm in 3rd place now for the league.
By the way, you're in 3rd place for like in the next couple days.
Why?
Because you're losing like 11 to nothing. You're losing like 11 to nothing.
I was losing 9-0 midweek last week too, and
end up beating
Jay.
It was like
end up beating Jay.
9-3.
Yeah, I'm beating Jay 11 to 1-1 or something. What was it, Jay?
It was 2-10. 2-10-1.
10-2 right now, losing.
Okay. And I got plenty to go this week, so I'm gonna make a bounce back.
Junior, you got me going down a wormhole. Like I'm looking back on our roster in 2013 when I was with the Jays, or the Lansing Lugnuts were the Jays affiliate in A-ball, and I called those games that year. I'm trying to remember the guy's name, but we had this guy who was a relief pitcher. I might have been mixing up leagues, but like we had some guys in A-ball that were in their mid-20s, you know, late round draft picks, undrafted, signed guys, just grinding away in the minor leagues. That pitching staff also had Matthew Boyd, who was a first-round pick, has had a really nice career in Major League Baseball. Daniel Norris was a second-round pick, got a huge bonus. Roberto Osuna signed, had a nice career before he had some off-the-field issues. Kendall Graveman had a hell of a career. Mm-hmm. These are all first, second-round picks or like high signing bonus guys. And then you have these like middle 20-year-olds just grinding away in A-ball with like a 6.09 ERA and 45 appearances, working at their pop's factory back in Pennsylvania in the offseason, trying to make money, chasing the dream. So I totally respect a lot of those guys. Actually, there's a couple guys I got to run by that you might know that played in the Venezuelan Winter League.
And that's why Winter League is so great, because you get, like right now I'm looking at guys that are like in their 30s are still playing. And when you offer them the money that you're going to offer them, which is a couple thousand, some guys are making double digits. for a month of playing baseball or 2. These guys are like, hell yeah, because they're not going to make that type of money in the offseason because they don't get paid year round. So that's the game, man. It's a mix of players. That's why the White Sox, when they're like every prospect's going to hit, I'm looking at guys that are not on that top 5 list. Where you're going to look at guys that are there, like, okay, who's the guy that's going to kind of make themselves a better baseball player and kind of grind themselves out there. But it looked good though. The White Sox, they didn't look as horrible as people think that they did in the minor leagues. A lot of people tweet and write without actually watching their games. And then compared to like other minor league teams, they look pretty good. They look like they're competing and like they're doing their thing. So the big league team does not reflect the minor league team at all.
My shout out is to my wife, Steph, for helping me the last week. My back is jacked up. I'm in a lot of pain right now, just sitting on this chair. I spent 4th of July with back spasms, screaming on the couch in agonizing pain. So I'm slowly getting better, but
you don't have a son, so you don't have a kid. So I know you definitely didn't do that.
Oh man.
How did you hurt your back?
So I had a sinus infection and I had this coughing fit. No, I Sammy Sosa'd myself.
Yeah.
I had this like coughing fit just walking out of the kitchen and my whole back just seized up. And I had a back strain like 6 weeks ago, like right around Memorial Day, and it was fine. But man, I started coughing and like my back just seized. And I stretched it out and I was okay. I went to bed and I woke up and I was like uncomfortable. When I got up to try to get out of bed, my body was like, nope, you ain't going nowhere. And the back spasms were the most painful thing I've ever had in my life.
Even
like
the White Sox podcasters are injury prone.
Yeah, anyone affiliated with the White Sox.
Anyone with affiliated. I thought I was the one that turned 40. Injuries. By the way, I thought I was the one that turned 40. You're here sneezing, getting back spasms. That's concerning.
Bro, I'm 6'6", 240. There's a lot of shit that can go wrong.
By the way, on that note, we're gonna end. 6'6". What are you?
I'm 6'6", 240.
Codon. That's him. Slop.
Charlie Condon.
Charlie Condon. 6'6". He could be walking. Sneezes, back spasms. When you're that big, bad things can happen.
Shit happens. Shit happens as well on the Blackout Show. Thank you for watching, as always, on the Guillen Grid. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I don't know, all the other social media shits. And download the podcast. If you're not watching it live, make sure to subscribe, download, like, leave us a nice review. Tell us how much you love Gonzo's terrible takes. And Jay's salutes. I'm Sloppy Thurston, signing out for an immaculate episode of the Blackout Show. See you guys next week.